Brittney Griner is playing a game, and this is what Brittney Griner calls. I was not going to comment on any of this stuff until this took place. Watch what she says. The entire internet has reacted to this. Here's Brittney Griner. They're playing against the Indiana Fever, and look what she's saying. Go ahead, Rob.
Or the ticky-tack fouls that we were talking about earlier.
Patrick Bet David just torched. Brittney Griner, and the internet is erupting Valuetainment founder. Patrick Bet David just dropped the hammer on Brittney Griner, and social media is in full meltdown mode. After watching the now viral footage of Griner's racist comment toward Caitlin Clark, PBD didn't hold back, not for a second. What followed was pure, unfiltered truth. And the internet can't stop talking about it.
That pretty much sounds like trash effing white girl.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just be honest.
So the whole market reacts to this.
What Patrick Bet David said next lit up the internet like wildfire. And Brittney Griner is probably wishing she never even stepped on that court. He didn't sugarcoat a single word. He called out the double standards. He slammed the entitlement. And he made it crystal clear. If any other athlete had made the same racist comment Griner did, their career would already be over. There was no spin, no excuses, just brutal, unapologetic truth. And the reaction? Explosive. Comment sections filled up instantly. Fans cheering, critics fuming. But one thing was undeniable. Everyone was listening. Now people are asking, was Patrick too harsh? Or did Griner finally hear the truth she's been shielded from for far too long? Because in a world where accountability is rare, sometimes it takes someone like Patrick Bet David to say what no one else will, even if it hits like a punch to the gut. And honestly, she had it coming.
To being able to read the expressions of a person and know their intent, know their character, know their perspective. But he does understand hate, because I think he also understands the hate of self. When you look at the play, which is all we can speak to as professionals, all we can speak to as analysts, Angel Reese.
Folks, Patrick Bet David just unleashed one of the most savage takedowns in sports media history. And Brittney Griner is probably still somewhere picking her jaw up off the hardwood. This wasn't a rant. This wasn't casual commentary. This was a surgical demolition, a full-throttle verbal beatdown that exposed not just Griner, but the entire WNBA culture that's been enabling this mess. What lit the fire it all started with what should have been a routine basketball sequence. Caitlin Clark, under pressure, fouls Angel Reese after Reese shoved one of Clark's teammates. Nothing too wild, happens all the time in the game. But what happened next turned a basic play into a media circus. Reese, instead of brushing it off, hit the ground like she'd been shot by a sniper. A dramatic flop that would have made even LeBron James raise an eyebrow. And right on cue, the race baiters pounced. Patrick Bet David had enough. According to Bet David, this was the moment everything started spiraling into absurdity, rather than treating it like a physical competitive exchange. What sports are supposed to be, certain personalities raced to inject race into the narrative. First up, DeMarcus Cousins, who suggested Clark was being protected because she's white. Then came Angel Reese, stirring the pot even further with post-game shade. But the real moment that made PBD lose it, Jemele Hill. She came out swinging with a take so ridiculous, so utterly detached from reality, it almost broke the internet. Hill compared Angel Reese, yes, the same Angel Reese who's currently shooting 22.7% from the field, to Michael Jordan. Let that marinate. Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player who ever lived. The definition of dominance. The man who changed the sport. Now being mentioned in the same breath as a player with possibly the worst shooting percentage in WNBA history, all in the name of what? Narrative? PBD called it like it is Patrick. Bet David didn't mince words. He didn't hedge. He didn't, on the one hand, on the other hand, his analysis. He called it delusional. He called it embarrassing. He said what millions of fans are thinking, but are too afraid to say out loud. This isn't about basketball anymore. This is about victimhood. It's about identity politics replacing merit. And he's not wrong. The second the conversation became about race, the game was lost. Not on the court, but in the culture war that's cannibalizing everything sports are supposed to represent. The bigger problem, A broken culture. What makes Patrick's takedown so powerful isn't just that he went after Griner, or Reese, or Hill. It's that he laid bare the rot in the WNBA's cultural framework, a league that talks about empowerment while protecting toxic behavior. A league that promotes inclusion while demonizing its breakout star. A league that sells no place for hate merch while ignoring actual racist slurs caught on national TV. Bet David didn't just call out individuals, he called out the entire ecosystem that's enabled this descent into hypocrisy. The fallout? Still, unfolding fans are fed up. Social media is flooded with support for PBD's take. Even longtime WNBA watchers are admitting the league has lost its grip on reality. And for Griner, this moment might be more than just embarrassing. It might be career-altering. Because when entrepreneurs, sponsors, and major voices like Bet David start turning up the heat, the protective bubble starts to pop. And here's the truth Griner probably doesn't want to hear. She wasn't the victim. She was the symptom of a league
what she
that
said about the
refused to
NBA.
enforce
This is so funny how all this stuff works
until
out,
it was
right?
too late.
She says, this is from Brittney. Every time we play her, there's this commotion, like this loud rumbling from the stands. Turns out it's people, thousands of them, just sitting there, watching on purpose. It's very disruptive. It's called a freaking game that they pay you money to play. Don't play the game.
But the stupidity didn't stop there. No, the circus had just begun. Just when you thought the takes couldn't get any more unhinged, ESPN commentator Ryan Clark decided to dive headfirst into the mess and managed to say something so jaw-droppingly ignorant that even Patrick Bet David, a man known for speaking truth without flinching, was momentarily stunned. Yes, this actually happened. So here's the rundown. Robert Griffin III, RG3, former NFL star and current broadcaster, dared to express support for Caitlin Clark. He had the nerve to say what many were thinking, that Clark, despite being relentlessly targeted on the court and off, deserved respect for what she's bringing to women's basketball. And how did Ryan Clark respond? He attacked RG3 for being married to a white woman. Let that sink in. Not challenged his facts, not debated his tone. He invalidated the man's opinion, based solely on who he chose to marry. According to Clark, a black man's perspective on racial issues is null and void if he happens to love someone of another race. Patrick Bet David couldn't believe what he was hearing. He played the clip on his show, paused, and stared into the camera in disbelief. You could see it in his face, the rare mix of shock and disgust. "This is the most backwards thing I've heard in a long time," PBD said. Imagine saying that someone's ideas are worthless because of their spouse. That's not only racist, it's dehumanizing. It's disgusting. And he's right. We're in an era where the content of a person's opinion doesn't matter, only their identity, their race, their gender, their political leanings, or, apparently, who they share a bed with. The discourse has become so toxic, so distorted, that basic decency and logic are being thrown out the window in real time, and national television is the vehicle. But that mess? That ideological breakdown? That was just the warm-up act. Then, the Griner video dropped, and everything exploded. Right when the internet was still reeling from Ryan Clark's meltdown, the video surfaced. Brittney Griner, after fouling out against the Indiana Fever, appeared to mouth the words, "trash effing white girl." And it was loud, clear, unmistakable. It didn't take long for the video to go viral, but while many commentators danced around the clip, avoiding it, deflecting from it, trying to pretend it wasn't what it clearly was, Patrick Bet David didn't flinch. He hit play. He replayed it. He called it exactly what it was. "That sounds like trash fuss-scolding white girl." And if that's what she said, that is a racist comment. Period. Full stop. There was no mealy-mouthed equivocation. No, well, we don't know the full context. No, we need to protect our athletes. No. PBD said what millions of fans were thinking, and what the WNBA was too cowardly to say. This was racism, from a veteran player. On national television, and the most outrageous part, Griner thought there'd be no consequences. She walked. Off the court, she just delivered a slick bit of trash talk. and expected to be praised for her edge, her passion. But Bet David wasn't done. The hypocrisy was too much to ignore. That's when Patrick really turned up the heat. He didn't just call out the slur, he zoomed out. He connected the dots in a way few in the mainstream are brave enough to do. Here's a player, he reminded viewers, who wasn't just saved from a suspension. She was saved from a foreign prison cell. The United States didn't just ask nicely. They didn't issue a stern letter. They traded Victor Bout, aka the Merchant of Death, a convicted arms dealer responsible for fueling wars and violence across the globe, to bring Griner home. That's the level of sacrifice and leverage the US was willing to give for her, a move so controversial, it sparked diplomatic tension, a deal that many Americans still question. And what does Brittney Griner do with that freedom? She goes on live television and spews a racist comment about the only player who's actually saving her league. That's not just offensive, it's astonishingly ungrateful. You got traded for a terrorist, PBD said, and you come back to the US, and this is how you behave? Making racist comments about Caitlin Clark, the reason people are even talking about the WNBA again? You've got to be kidding me. And honestly, that sentiment is being echoed everywhere, across sports radio, in comment sections, on Twitter, Reddit, YouTube. People are angry, and not because they dislike Griner. They're angry because they believed in her. They rallied to bring her home. They supported her during the darkest chapter of her life, and now she's weaponizing identity politics, spitting on the very values that saved her. That's not just a bad take. That's betrayal.
Brittney Griner voiced frustration in a recent interview, claiming that Caitlin Clark is ruining what used to make the WNBA great. Wait for this.
Empty stands?
Tom, let me just...
Go ahead, I'm so mad.
WNBA games used to be a chill, quiet place. You could bring your laptop and relax, maybe even get a little work done. But now, it's like there's a large gathering of people watching us from the stands. Some of them are yelling crazy shit about what they're seeing, putting unfair pressure on us to score like we're there for their entertainment. And that's pretty gross.
Well,
Are you
I act like this.
Okay.
Rob, can you verify that this is what she said on the mom and pop WNBA model? That she's sick of the and then she says the whole thing is toxic. I saw a guy with his daughter in the crowd, both of them yelling, couldn't hear what they were saying exactly, but it was either about my performance or some light racism.
But Patrick Bet-David wasn't done exposing the hypocrisy. Not by a long shot. After calling out Griner's racist comment and reminding viewers of the extraordinary lengths the US government went to bring her home, he turned to another shocking element of her behavior. One that flew under the radar, but spoke volumes about her mindset. Griner's complaint. Too many fans. Yes, seriously. Bet-David pulled up statements allegedly made by Brittney Griner, where she complained about the surge in fan attendance at WNBA games. That's right, she wasn't excited. She wasn't inspired. She was annoyed, according. To these reports, Griner expressed frustration that arenas were finally filling up, that people were paying attention, that there was actual energy in the building, and that, for once, the spotlight was real. You can't make this stuff up, PBD said, nearly laughing in disbelief. This league has begged for attention for decades, and now that it finally has it, one of its biggest names is mad about it. It's hard to even wrap your head around. After years of empty seats, forgotten broadcast slots, and half-hearted media coverage, women's basketball is finally getting the respect it's long deserved. And instead of embracing that moment, Griner reportedly rolled her eyes. The entitlement is off the charts. This wasn't just tone deaf. It was a window into the entitlement that Bet-David has been hammering from the start. This isn't just arrogance, he said. It's self-destruction. Griner has the audacity to insult fans for showing up. The same fans who advocated for her release, who watched her interviews, who believed in her. That's not just ungrateful. It's insane. And it's the perfect encapsulation of why so many people, even casual observers, have lost patience. Because while Caitlin Clark is out there grinding, filling stadiums, elevating the sport with every game she plays, Griner is, according to these reports, bothered by the attention. The applause is a burden. The fans are intruding on her space. It's the ultimate act of self-sabotage. And it validates everything Bet David's been saying. This isn't just about one. Racist comment? It's about a mindset, a culture, a rot.
And I know Adam, I'm going to piggyback off of Adam because Adam's been saying this for a while, that this is why the WNBA is never, ever, ever going to work and never make money. And this is exactly what Caitlin Clark gets for bending the knee. Do you guys remember when she said, when we lost all respect for her, when she said, I want to say I've earned every single thing, but as a white person, there is privilege. And the more we can elevate black women, this is going to be a beautiful thing. That's when it was all over. And Angel Reese and Brittney Griner, they walk around like the league owes them something. Even Ryan Clark's attitude as if, bro, where's the victimhood? These are freaking millionaires. Like, what are you talking about? It's attitude, it's no humility, just entitlement, and that's not confidence.
The quotes were so ridiculous, so off the wall, that at first glance they had to be satire. Brittney Griner allegedly claimed that WNBA games used to be a chill, quiet place. The kind of environment where you could bring your laptop, kick back, and maybe even get a little work done. According to the satire, she even complained that fans cheering and yelling was putting unfair pressure on us to score. We're there for their entertainment. You couldn't script. Something more outrageous if you tried. But while these specific quotes were eventually confirmed to be satirical, the attitude behind them, very real. And Patrick Bet David's reaction was exactly what millions of viewers were thinking. The fact that these jokes felt believable tells you everything you need to know. He said, because it's not actually that far off from how some of these players carry themselves. And he's not wrong. The fact that so many people believed those quotes were real, even if only for a moment, is a brutal indictment of the culture the WNBA has allowed to grow unchecked. A culture where entitlement trumps gratitude, where fans are seen as a nuisance, and where media criticism is met with outrage instead of reflection. The satire stung, because it was too close to reality. Let's be clear, the idea that professional athletes would complain about too much fan support should be laughable, but here, it hit too close to home. Griner, a player rescued from a Russian prison at enormous diplomatic cost, is now the face of tone-deaf arrogance. Whether it's making racially charged comments about Caitlin Clark, reportedly bristling at fan enthusiasm, or being part of a larger media narrative that constantly tries to undermine the league's only breakout star, the pattern is undeniable. And that's what set Patrick off. Imagine LeBron complaining about a sold-out arena, Bet David said. Imagine Tom Brady saying he can't focus because the crowd is too loud. You'd be laughed out of the league. But with the WNBA, these narratives are not only tolerated, and they're protected, shielded, spun. And that's what has fans, and critics like Patrick Bet David, completely fed up. You can't grow a league. While resenting the spotlight, for decades, the WNBA begged for exposure, for respect, for people to take women's sports seriously. Now, thanks to Caitlin Clark and a few other rising stars, that moment is here. The spotlight is finally on. The money is coming in. The seats are being filled, and instead of celebrating that evolution, some players are treating it like an invasion. If the satirical quotes stung, it's because they exposed a truth many fans have felt for a while. There's a segment of WNBA culture that resents accountability, resents fans who demand effort, and resents the pressure that comes with popularity. But guess what? That's literally what pro sports are about. You're paid, often very well, to perform under pressure, in front of people who care. That's the job. That's the dream. And if that's not what you want, then maybe professional sports aren't for you.